You might not believe this, but certain foods, even simple fruits or drinks, can actually repair your brain and protect your eyes while you sleep. Not in a magical way, but in a way that's real, biological, and backed by science. Now, if you've ever woken up and had to blink a few times just to clear your vision, if you've walked into a room and forgotten why you came in, or if you've stared at someone familiar, struggling to recall their name for just a second too long, then you already know the pain I'm talking about. This isn't just about getting older. It's about losing the things that define who you are, your memories, your ability to recognize faces, to read, to enjoy a book, to feel confident in conversations. And for many seniors I've spoken to, it doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in silently, a little more blurriness, a little more confusion, until one day, you're afraid to drive at night. Or you find yourself rereading the same sentence 3 times because your brain just isn't holding on to the words. Does this sound familiar? If so, you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not helpless. Because there are natural, gentle ways to support your brain and vision even while you sleep. And today, I want to share with you 3 simple berries that most people overlook. Berries that are often just seen as toppings on a breakfast bowl, but in reality, hold powerful compounds that nourish your memory, protect your retina, and calm the silent inflammation inside your brain. These are not exotic or expensive superfoods. They're accessible, easy to prepare, and when used properly, especially before bed, they can support your body's own repair process overnight. The last berry I'll talk about today might be the most surprising. Because while it's sweet and familiar, very few people realize just how much it can do to fight dry eyes and slow cognitive decline. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Dr. James Porter, and this is Senior Health Secrets, a channel where we help older adults heal naturally, think clearly, and move freely again. If that sounds like something you need more of in your life, consider subscribing. We'd love to have you with us. Let's begin with the first berry, the tiny blue one that's been studied by scientists for years. Blueberries might be tiny, but when it comes to protecting your brain and eyes, they punch far above their weight. Their real power comes from a natural pigment called anthocyanin. It's what gives them their deep blue color. But more importantly, anthocyanins are among the few plant compounds that can pass through the blood-brain barrier. That's the protective layer that shields your brain from toxins. Most nutrients never make it across. These do. Once inside the brain, anthocyanins go to work in one of the most vulnerable areas, the hippocampus. That's the part of the brain where we form new memories and recall familiar ones. As we age, this area becomes inflamed and slows down. Blueberries help cool that inflammation by calming the chemical messengers that usually interfere with memory and focus. These compounds don't just protect, they support the brain's ability to grow new connections between neurons, which is key for learning and staying mentally sharp. There's another benefit too. Blueberries increase something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it like fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps brain cells grow, stay connected, and recover from damage, something that becomes harder to do after age 60. But it's not just the brain that benefits. Your eyes, especially the retina, are highly sensitive to light and oxidative damage. The retina is responsible for converting light into the images you see. Blueberries help protect these delicate tissues by reducing stress and improving blood flow to the tiny vessels behind the eye. They also support the regeneration of rhodopsin, a pigment your eyes need to see clearly in dim lighting. That's why people who eat blueberries regularly often report sharper night vision and less eye strain. Science backs this up. A long-term study published in the journal Annals of Neurology followed over 16,000 older adults. Those who ate at least 2 servings of blueberries each week experienced significantly slower memory decline, up to 2.5 years younger in cognitive age than those who didn't. Another study gave older adults with mild memory issues a daily serving of wild blueberry juice. After just 3 months, researchers found measurable improvements in memory, attention, and even mood. One of my patients, Dorothy, began adding blueberries to her evening snack, just a small bowl before bed. Within weeks, she told me she felt less foggy and more like herself again. That's the power of consistency. And when you eat blueberries in the evening, you give your brain and eyes the nutrients they need, exactly when your body does its deepest repair during sleep. Now, let me introduce you to a berry that's lesser known in the West, but has been used for centuries in the East to boost mental clarity and enhance vision at night. It's time to talk about goji berries. Goji berries may not be as common in American kitchens, but in parts of Asia, they've been used for centuries as a tonic for both the brain and the eyes. And modern science is finally catching up to what traditional medicine has known all along. What makes goji berries so unique is their concentration of compounds called zeaxanthin and lutein. These are carotenoids, and they play a critical role in protecting the retina, especially the macula, the central part of the eye, responsible for sharp, detailed vision. As we age, that macula becomes more vulnerable to light damage, especially from screens and fluorescent lighting. Zeaxanthin and lutein act like internal sunglasses. They filter out high-energy light and absorb blue light before it can cause oxidative stress. That's why goji berries have been linked to better night vision, reduced eye fatigue, and even a lower risk of age-related macular degeneration. But goji berries aren't just good for your eyes. They're also packed with neuroprotective polysaccharides, unique natural sugars that help regulate inflammation in the central nervous system. In several lab studies, these compounds have been shown to increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, similar to blueberries, while also reducing beta-amyloid accumulation, the same plaques associated with cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. One clinical trial published in the journal Optometry and Vision Science gave middle-aged adults a daily goji berry supplement for 90 days. Participants not only showed improved macular pigment density, which directly supports better vision in low light, but also reported better mental focus and sleep quality. Another study from the Journal of Medicinal Food found that daily goji berry consumption improved feelings of calmness, reduced fatigue, and sharpened mental performance in just 2 weeks. That's because goji berries don't just feed your neurons, they also support the balance of neurotransmitters, like acetylcholine, which is essential for learning, attention, and memory retrieval. For older adults who feel mentally scattered or find their vision straining at dusk, goji berries can be a natural support, especially when taken consistently before bed, when the eyes and brain are in their repair cycles. I remember one gentleman in his late 60s who struggled with night driving. He avoided evenings out, even short family dinners, because the glare from headlights overwhelmed him. After introducing a simple goji berry tea to his nighttime routine, his confidence behind the wheel returned within a month. He wasn't cured, but he was capable again, and for many, that makes all the difference. Strawberries may seem like nothing more than a sweet summer treat, but beneath their bright red color is a powerful combination of nutrients that the aging brain and eyes quietly crave. One of the key compounds in strawberries is a group of antioxidants called ellagic acid and flavonoids, especially physidin. Physidin is a remarkable nutrient because it's been shown to act as a neuroprotective agent. In aging brains, it helps reduce the buildup of waste proteins, supports memory retention, and improves the brain's ability to process and store new information. Unlike other antioxidants that simply fight free radicals, physitin has been shown to preserve mitochondrial function in brain cells. And mitochondria, as you may know, are what generate energy inside every cell. When brain cells have more energy, they communicate better, store information faster, and recover more easily from daily stress. In one study published in the Journals of Gerontology, older adults with higher flavonoid intake, including physitin from strawberries, had significantly better scores in tests of verbal memory, executive function, and processing speed. That means fewer senior moments, clearer recall in conversation, and sharper mental focus throughout the day. But the brain isn't the only place strawberries go to work. They're also rich in vitamin C, which is essential for collagen production, a protein that supports the structure of both the eyes and the small blood vessels that nourish them. As we age, these vessels become fragile, making the eyes more prone to dryness, irritation, and poor circulation. Strawberries help reinforce that system from the inside out. They also contain polyphenols that reduce inflammation on a cellular level. For people who suffer from dry eyes, especially after screen time or reading, this kind of internal support can make a real difference. One study from the European Journal of Nutrition found that consistent strawberry intake was linked to lower levels of C-reactive protein, a marker of systemic inflammation that affects both cognitive health and ocular comfort. A woman I met recently, in her late 60s, had nearly given up her book club. Reading made her eyes feel tired and dry within minutes, and she couldn't follow the storylines anymore. She added strawberries to her evening routine, just a small bowl, 3 or 4 nights a week. A month later, she told me she was back in the group, not missing a page. Her brain felt lighter, and her eyes didn't give out so fast. That's not magic. That's nutrition, working where it's needed most, gently, consistently, and with real results over time. So how do you take these 3 powerful berries, blueberries, goji berries, and strawberries, and turn them into something that fits naturally into your life? Something that doesn't feel like a chore, but like a small act of care before you rest? The answer is simple. You create a bedtime berry ritual. The best time to enjoy these berries is in the evening, about 1 to 2 hours before sleep. That's when your body is beginning to shift into its repair mode. Your brain is clearing out toxins. Your eyes are recovering from hours of light exposure. And this is exactly when your cells are most ready to absorb the nutrients you give them. A handful of blueberries, fresh or frozen, mixed with a spoonful of plain Greek yogurt can be a perfect place to start. The probiotics in the yogurt may even help with nutrient absorption. Add in a small portion of chopped strawberries for their vitamin C and anti-inflammatory effects. Then, sprinkle in a few goji berries. Dried is fine, but soak them in warm water for a few minutes to make them easier to chew and digest. If dairy isn't part of your diet, you can do the same thing with a warm herbal tea. Brew a mild tea like chamomile, then stir in a spoonful of soaked goji berries and enjoy it with a side of fresh berries. The warmth can help you relax, while the berries get to work inside. The goal isn't quantity, it's consistency. You don't need a giant bowl or a complicated recipe. Just 3 to 5 nights a week, a modest serving of these berries can begin to support your vision, your memory, and your mental clarity over time. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't do it because you expect your teeth to sparkle overnight. You do it because the small habit protects something important. This ritual is no different. It tells your brain and your eyes, I'm taking care of you now. You're not forgotten. And when that message is repeated night after night, it begins to show not just in how you feel, but in what you're able to do. Reading with less eye strain, holding conversations without grasping for words, falling asleep with less noise in your mind. That's the power of a simple routine, built around real food, rooted in real science. If you've made it this far, I want to say something that matters. Thank you, not just for watching, but for caring about yourself, for believing, even just a little, that things can still change. Because they can. You don't need to accept that blurry vision and mental fog are just part of aging. You don't need to pretend it's fine when you walk into a room and forget why. Or when your eyes start stinging before you finish a chapter. Or when someone says, "Don't you remember?" And you honestly don't. You're not broken. You're not too late. And you're not alone. Healing doesn't always happen in grand gestures. Sometimes it begins with something as small as a bowl of berries before bed. Something natural. Something easy to repeat. Something that says, I still care about my mind. I still want to see the world clearly. And over time, these small choices become something bigger. Maybe it's the first time in months you read through a recipe without losing your place. Or a moment when you recognize a neighbor you hadn't seen in a while and recall their name with ease. Or simply waking up with eyes that feel rested instead of strained. Those aren't just signs of improvement. They're signs that you're still very much here, present, capable, and deserving of a life that feels whole again. If this video brought you clarity, encouragement, or even just a sense of calm, I'd be honored if you shared it with someone who might need the same. And if you'd like to see more ways to support your brain, your eyes, and your overall health in natural, proven ways, I invite you to subscribe to Senior Health Secrets. That way, you won't miss what's coming next. Leave a comment below if something in this video spoke to you. I read every one, and you never know who else your words might encourage. Most of all, take care of yourself tonight. You deserve rest, you deserve peace, and you deserve to wake up tomorrow feeling just a little more like yourself again. I'll see you soon.